Hello, it is January 9th, 2013, and today we are going to go over the North Shore Barrington Association of Realtors new lease. Before we start the new lease, however, I would like to tell you about a meeting that we are going to have March 1st, which is a mini convention. It'll be an all-day education and trade show for all of the members of the North Shore Barrington Association. And I'd really appreciate it if you could put it on your calendar and announce it to the members. But also, what I also wanted to let you know is that we're having a special session for only the owners and managers that day with Gary Clayton, who's the CEO for the Illinois Association of Realtors. So he will be talking to you directly as an owner or a manager, and I'm sure that you will enjoy that meeting. We are also seeing if Gary can stick around a little bit longer for any of you that would like to talk to him a little bit more in depth or would like to set up a one-on-one meeting. Just let us know and we'll let you know about that. So we appreciate that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over the new lease. So let's do a little background on the leases and documentations that licensees are allowed to fill out. In the state of Illinois, there was a lawsuit everyone called the Quinlan-Tyson case. It was in the late 60s. It might have ended in the early 70s. I don't know the exact date. It does not matter. The issue of the case was what documentation is a licensed real estate agent broker allowed to fill out, and what are forms that only attorneys can fill out. Because back then there were actually real estate offices in Illinois that were even preparing deeds, although the agent or somebody within the office was preparing the deed and not an attorney. The results of the lawsuit basically stated that a real estate licensee in the state of Illinois is allowed to fill in the blanks only of a contract commonly used in the area. So, and again, this is just for Illinois. So when we started finding in the 2000s the distressed sales in real estate, there were a lot of owners of real estate that all of a sudden needed to become a landlord. Not that they were happy about it, but they needed to. And the other problem that they had is that they didn't really have any money. So all of us in real estate just assumed that it would be fine for us to fill out a lease for the people. Now I can tell you right now that a lot of attorneys in Illinois feel that real estate licensees should not be able to fill out leases. And here is why. You are allowed to fill in the blanks of a contract commonly used in the area, but a contract brings you up to a closing. And then after the closing, then there's another whole life with that house. But with a lease is part of the transaction from the time somebody moves in till the time they move out, and maybe a little time afterwards. So some people equate that more as a deed than a contract. And that's why some people have had a problem with us filling out the leases. So any time that you can get the tenant, especially the landlord, to have their own attorney prepare this would be a better thing. But if you are going to end up using the leases, do be very careful. Do be on notice that there are some issues potentially of us filling out these leases, and that you need to be protected. So this gives you at least a little background. So what you need to do as owners and managers is to make sure that your office has an office policy regarding rentals. And it's completely up to you on how you want to do it, but you need to address either that you guys are going to do leases and rentals, and what work do you do on that, or what you're not going to do. So you need to have that in an office policy. There are some offices that have decided that they do not want to mess around with rentals, and they don't have to. They don't have to. That will be in your office policy saying this office nor any of our licensees will do any rentals. That's fine. You can do that. If you are going to do rentals, then you need to address how do you handle your security deposit? How do you handle credit reports. There's a whole list of things that you need to take care of. So you need to address that as fast as possible. And the optimum is that you do this along with your attorney. Make sure that you cover all the different laws. Now, sure, life would be a lot easier if we could just get a real estate agent that would have a license just in one community and that's all the community. But you know that that doesn't happen. And especially with the market the way it is, everybody has expanded their boundaries. So you need to be cognizant of how many different landlord-tenant laws there are in Illinois for different communities. Certainly all of you are aware that the city of Chicago has their own landlord-tenant law and a set of rules that you must follow. The city of Evanston has another set. Mount Prospect has another set. And, you know, if they start venturing all over the state of Illinois, Belleville probably has one. I don't know if Cairo has one. It's all that you need to handle. So you need to go over that. And you need to go over this PowerPoint. And then lastly, you need to go over the lease itself. Now, there are a lot of laws that you need to be cognizant of, and what I've done in this PowerPoint is I've put hyperlinks in there for you, so you can see that one, the Attorney General has a wonderful form that kind of goes over all of the landlord-tenant rights in the state of Illinois. It has the tenant's responsibilities, as you can see, the landlord's rights and responsibilities, and security deposits. Discrimination, all of that. This is a wonderful form. You should have that. Your agent should have that. They should know what's in there. Hold on, I don't want to do this. Now, the next one we have is Chicago rent rights. Now, when you rent anything in Chicago, you must follow their rules. So here's a web page for the city of Chicago that goes to the rent rights, and in there is the summary of the ordinance, and that summary must be attached, must be given to all of the landlord-tenant, or all of the tenants in here, and the landlord should have it also. And of course, the part that everybody's concerned about the most is security. But anyway, it is here. You must have that with anything that you rent in Chicago. Now, if you rent something in Evanston, Evanston's a little bit different because they want the entire landlord-tenant ordinance attached to the lease. So here is the web page for Evanston, and right here is the residential landlord-tenant lease. Now, I do know that there's rumors going around that in Chicago you have to have a Chicago lease, in Evanston you have to have an Evanston lease. I contacted both of those communities, and both of them told me that is not true. That you can use another lease. It is the documentation that they want with it. Now, the city of Evanston has their nice little landlord-tenant law that you would have to attach to the lease. Now, the next one is Mount Prospect. Now, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but here's the information. So here's Mount Prospect and the landlord-tenant rights summary in there. Excuse me. The next one that you must be cognizant of are the different fair housing laws. And not only do you have a federal, state fair housing laws that you have to live with, you could have county, and then each community could have their own landlord-tenant laws. So the Illinois Association of Realtors has put together an information on the housing site that talks about fair housing. In our webpage, North Shore Barrington Association, we have under resources, fair housing, we have listed the different, many of the communities in our area and what those are. You do need to understand that there are some areas where source of income is part of the fair housing, which means that if it is part of the law, you and the landlord cannot say, we will not accept Section 8. And oh, by the way, for March 1st, write this down, we have an expert coming in that will be talking to you about Section 8 and what you can do with rentals. And then this is the best guide. I just found this the other day. I've posted it a couple of times. I strongly recommend that you share this with your agents. And it's the Illinois Association of Realtors has put together this wonderful guide for real estate agents on, as they call it, an overview of principal laws and regulations affecting property management. This is not only is an attractive brochure, it is very, very, very chock full of information. So definitely spend time with that. Now this is you can read also, so I don't need to go through all of this, but I just wanted you to know what's covered in the brochure. One, it'll talk about if you need to have a license, which of course you absolutely have to have a license. The fair housing laws. They'll give you ideas on effective management of rentals. Then they will cover eviction laws, screening laws, Security Deposit Return Act, which is a law in Illinois, but it affects larger 5 or more units or large complexes. Not one landlord renting one house out. It doesn't. The act doesn't include that. Your lead-based paint notice, which is critical. Carbon monoxide alarm laws. The Smoke Detector Act, Criminal Activity of Leased Premises, Safe Home Act, Illinois Radon Awareness Act. As you know, there's a different notice for rentals versus sales. Changing or rekeying of a dwelling unit law. This is a newer law. Municipal landlord licensing and inspection, search warrant and owner consent, municipal license requirements, and the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations. As you know, those are the people that give you a license and the people who can take a license away. And oh, by the way, just as a side note, I was just reading with the Illinois Association of Realtors the recent cases with IDFPR. And I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, IDFPR is definitely back in business. Of the cases that the Illinois Association of Realtors posted in their DR report, the lowest fine was $5,000 for a real estate agent who did not give proper dual agency notices, up to an office that got $100,000 fine for problems with their escrow account. So not only are we seeing that the department is doing all of their cases, they are giving significant fines. I think that all of us in the real estate industry should be very happy to see that they are absolutely back in business. Anyway, going back, there will be inspection, licensings, and fees. They cover that in the brochure. Other municipal requirements. And then what I really like is at the end they even have additional resources to give you background information. Please read this over with your attorney and then put together your office policy and then cover that with your agents because they're all out there working. You need to know. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the tutorial and the lease. And let's go to the tutorial. Let's see if we can get into this. Okay. Actually, let's go to, if I can see our page right now. This is the North Shore Barrington Association's webpage, as you see. And then you go up here for member sign in. And then it'll ask you for your ID and password. I'm sorry, I'd already been logged in, so it didn't come up for me. So this is your page. Your page should have your photo on it. If it doesn't, let us know, and we'll put it on there for you. Now, right here are forms and contracts. So if you click here, this will get you to all of our different forms. And I also want to remind you, do remember that when we not only have 5 pages of forms, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but we also have categories. So if you wanted to, you could go all the way down to lease or rent, and then it gives you all the different forms that you need for the lease, anywhere from the pet addendum to radon on. But what we're looking at right now is going up here to new lease. And what we have here is a tutorial for the lease itself, which is only up here for right now, and the PowerPoint that I am showing you right now. Now there'll be another link soon that will have what I'm doing right now with the recording. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to the tutorial first.